G'day, Justin Hogg here from RightSource. Today I wanted to talk to you about something that isn't about accounting. It's about governance or company secretaries, and specifically I've started championing pro bono company secretary work. Why am I doing that? Well, let me tell you, I just want to share this with you. So it's part of my story, it's part of where I've come from. I got to a place, 20 years of experience in large organizations and some small organizations, where I developed, I thought, a good skill set. And I was comfortable where I was in a career and where I was in my personal life, and I actually wanted to give back. So the way I thought would be a good way to do that would be becoming a director on a not-for-profit or a charity. And so I tried to do that for about a year. I was trying to find an opportunity with a charity to work for them for free as a director to help their organization. And I found, as an accountant, and I think the same thing is similar for lawyers or most professionals, is that I wasn't a partner of a law firm, or I wasn't a partner of an accounting firm, or I wasn't a CFO or CEO, and they were the type of people who were on boards. So to try and I suppose find a place where I could get a place on those boards, there just wasn't the opportunity that afforded me that ability. So after a year, I came across an opportunity to be a pro bono company secretary at a homeless shelter. I thought, well, my driver here is I want to give back. I didn't need to be a director, that wasn't the driver. The driver was I wanted to be able to give back. So I took that position as a pro bono company secretary at a homeless shelter. The charity itself resonated for me personally, and I felt I had the skills. I'd been a company secretary in an ASX listed company, so I had the skills to do that role. So I thought I would give it a crack. I didn't know anything about the not-for-profit industry at that stage, but I thought I'd have a go and see how it went. Now, a lot of people, when they hear someone talk about company secretary, they'll say you're the minute taker. And yes, you do take the minutes. But that's not all a company secretary is. A company secretary does look at governance as well, and how an organization runs. And that's, if you like, in a nutshell, how it works at sort of an ASX listed company. What I found though, in a not-for-profit space, the company secretary actually has a much broader role, or potential role, in that when you look at a not-for-profit, you have a board of directors who are doing that for free, usually. You have the company secretary, and you have the CEO. The CEO is the person who is running the organization, who's doing all the operational stuff. Now, in most charities, the CEO is doing it pretty much by themselves when you look at terms of an executive. There's no 2IC, there's no CFO, there's no HR department, there's nothing. It's all on the CEO. It is an incredibly hard job. What they often struggle with is that same issue that a lot of small business owners struggle with, is that they're alone. Now, sure, they have a board of directors that they have to answer to, and that gives them strategy, but in terms of execution, it often lies with just the CEO. So this can be quite a lonely job. What I found the company secretary's role in a not-for-profit actually allows you to build relationships both with the board and the CEO. And what those relationships do is allow you to provide that sounding board. So the CEO who's doing this all by themselves, the value they get out of having a relationship with someone they can talk to about, well, this is how the operation is going, or this is an issue I've got, or this is what the board have instructed me to do. Does that make sense? Or if I do something this way, does that still operate to an outcome that they want? And as company secretary, because you're not a director, you're not overseeing the CEO, you have an ability to create that relationship, because there is no authority or chain of command that's happening. It's about trying to understand how things are going. And likewise, as a company secretary, that actually allows you to get a lot more insight into how the operations are going, and that in turn allows you to fulfill your role as the company secretary better, because the board quite often meets once a month or once every 2 months, and that's the only time they see this organization. For those few hours and reading the papers, that's it. If they have questions about what's going on, being able to ask not just the CEO, but ask the company secretary and say, well, this is what I understand is what's going on. Is that your understanding of what's happening in the operations? Being able to provide them feedback also adds value to the board. And then likewise, by having that communication process with the board and having that one-on-one, you can also then as company secretary be able to feed that back to the CEO. So you actually become this conduit of information based on your relationships with the board and the CEO to help facilitate the communication of that organization. Now, you're doing all this without authority. It's not authority you're using here. You're using influence, and that's what relationships are about. Now, after a year or so of being company secretary in this organization and really becoming involved in how it works and that communication and relationships, what I found was that the role of the company secretary in not-for-profit has a much greater potential for creating impact than would in a commercial operation or an ASX listed company. Because in that not-for-profit, you actually are involved. Your advice and your experience matter. The funny thing was then, after it was just over a year working there, I actually started to get offers to be director. It's like, well, we're here doing good work in this not-for-profit. We have an opportunity in our board. We need someone with governance experience and experience in the not-for-profit sector. Can you come and be a director? So all of a sudden I was getting offers to be director from being a company secretary. So it actually showed that there's actually another pathway to becoming a director in a not-for-profit, and that's through doing this pro bono company secretary work, which I hadn't even contemplated when I was looking to be a director. So why am I championing being a pro bono company secretary? If you're a lawyer or an accountant and you want to give back, it's a perfect way to do it. You have the skills, you have commercial acumen from being in your role for a period of time, you understand how business works, you can provide that to an organization and you can help them with the governance. And it most definitely makes a difference. Apart from that, it also allows other benefits, like if you do eventually want to look to become a director in either in a not-for-profit or for-profit organization, it gives you great experience at that board level, because it is a board. They are talking strategy, and at that board you're mixing with partners of accounting firms, CEOs of business, influencers in the industry. These are people with high credentials, and you're building a relationship with them for free. It expands your network and creates other opportunities down the path, which may or may not be good in terms of your career, but it gives you options. And lastly, the organizations that are out there, the not-for-profits, it is so hard in that industry. They have a hard enough time finding directors to operate with them pro bono. By the time they get around looking for a company secretary, it quite often is too hard. And honestly, how do you find them? So that's what I want to do, and that's part of why RightSource was always started in the first place, because I want to match great people, great talent with great need. And I think there's a lot of people out there in the accounting and legal profession who have great talent, who want to give back, who aren't necessarily a partner yet. They might be, that might be their career goal. Being a pro bono company secretary for a small investment of time in an organization that you can relate to is an amazing way to give back, is an amazing way to develop yourself as a person, and is an amazing way to forge your career. So that's what I'm doing as part of, if anyone wants to talk or have a discussion about how you become a pro bono company secretary or how you can get placed as one, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to have a conversation. I'm happy to send you some information. I can say that those that I have placed as pro bono company secretaries have flourished, and it both individually and also the organisation they're working with. So if you're interested in becoming a pro bono company secretary, I've included an email address down below, explore@rightsource.com.au. if you want to throw me an email and just ask, just have pro bono company secretary in the title, and I'll send you a document I've got in terms of the benefits and the next steps in terms of becoming a pro bono company secretary. And likewise, if you're an organisation out there that's looking for a pro bono company secretary, feel free to, again, shoot me through an email on that, and I'm happy to have a conversation and help you find that pro bono company secretary that's right for you. Cool. Until next time, see ya.